Hello and welcome to the Shropshire Ghost Tales podcast. I am your host, Galactica Transticker, and today I'm going to be discussing the history and the ghost tales of Condover Hall. Condover Hall is located between the town of Shrewsbury and the small village of Church Stretton, in a village called Condover. Condover Hall dates back to Saxon times, when it was a royal manor. The hall has regular paranormal ghost hunts, where many have heard and seen doors closing by themselves, and when they have gone to investigate, nobody has been there. Some visitors have reported that they have seen ghosts of two people wandering the corridors of the hall at night, and when they have followed them, they just disappeared into thin air. The hauntings began after a murder happened at the hall during the time of the reign of Henry VIII, when the owner of the hall, Henry Knivet, was stabbed at the top of the stairs leading to the basement. As he fell, he placed his bloody hand on the wall, where he left a handprint. After the murder, the butler was falsely accused by the owner's son for the murder, and the butler was sentenced to death, when actually it was the owner's son who had committed his own father's murder himself and blamed the butler. It is said that the butler summoned a curse on the hall so that no future owner of the hall will succeed. Moreover, the bloody handprint of the victim kept appearing even after it was rigorously cleaned and painted to try and remove the stain. Eventually, the stain had to be chipped away from the stone, and even then some say that they have seen the bloody handprint reappear. The manor of Condover was awarded to Thomas Owen in 1586, who was a merchant and the son of Richard Owen. Thomas Owen, who was an MP of the Parliament of England and had studied at Oxford University, where he became a lawyer. Since Thomas Owen was the MP of Shrewsbury at the time and had first-hand experience in the field of law, he quickly realised that John Vyam, who was the butler of Condover Hall, had been wrongly accused and sentenced to death. So Thomas Owen had special permission from Queen Elizabeth I to reopen the case. And this is where the real murderer, the Knivet's son, was put to trial and sentenced to death. Thomas Owen was then awarded with the ownership of Condover Manor. During his ownership of Condover Manor, Thomas Owen set plans to rebuild Condover Manor along with its gardens, but he deceased before the new hall was completed and was passed on to his son Sir Roger Owen, who had the hall completed. The new hall was built from sandstone, which was acquired from the nearby Berrywood quarry, and eventually was passed on to Nicholas Owen Smith, which adopted the Owen family name but moved to France in 1803. Condover Hall was then passed on to the nephew Edward William Smith, and then upon his death in 1863 it was then passed onto his cousin, Thomas Cholmondeley, in 1864. In 1896, when Thomas Cholmondeley passed away, Condover Hall was sold off, and there were various owners, including the War Office, during World War II, until 1946, when the property was sold and purchased by William Abbey from the National Institute for the Blind, where it served as a school for the blind until 2005. This is when the Priory Group purchased the property and used the property to house and support autistic children in conjunction with the School for Adolescents with Asperger's Syndrome until 2009 when it was closed. Condover Hall was then purchased by the Thomas Travel Group, where it has had a multi-million-pound renovation, turning it into an activity centre for children. Condover Hall still remains the most outstanding building in Shropshire, with its East-style architecture. I would like to give a big thank you for all the listeners out there listening to this podcast, and I will be dropping a new podcast every month about different haunted places in Shropshire. All music and production is my own creative work. Thank you.